This is music, and this is a handful of songs from the Pukebox. Welcome to another episode of Songs from the Pukebox. It's just a what's spinning series with the worst name ever, I admit that. In these videos, I share with you some of the music that I've listened to over the last week and, basically talk about it. Do I like it? Don't I like it? Can I recommend it? So on and so forth. So this time around, I didn't have too much time to listen to a whole lot of music, but I did manage to listen to a handful of CDs. So let's have a look at those. Up first, Fuel for Your Soul by Jagged Edge, later known as Jagged Edge UK, and in later pressings of this, you actually have the UK appended right after Jagged Edge. But this one is so old that it was before they appended the UK. So this is very melodic hard rock. The first song, Liar, starts out in a way that you think, oh, this is gonna be heavy, but it's actually not really heavy at all. It's melodic hard rock. At times, it's barely hard rock, but it's really good stuff. Very catchy songs. I really like Matt Alfonsetti's vocals on here. So if you're in the mood for just some, it's almost like classic rock, maybe with a hint of AOR. There is some hard rock. You do have some groovy riffs. There's some really great guitar solos, and some really nice use of just clean guitars as well. If you're into that sort of stuff, check this one out. I quite enjoy listening to this one every now and then. I picked it up because the drummer, I think it's the drummer, this guy right here, I think it's the drummer who was on Bruce Dickinson's first solo album. So that got me interested in checking Jagged Edge out. Very good stuff, melodic hard rock. I enjoy listening to it, but don't expect it to be super heavy or anything like that. It's not even like glam, I would say. Maybe there's a little bit of sleaze to some of the lyrics, but nah. It's very melodic hard rock, and it's quite good stuff. By the way, these are just 5 random ones I just picked out from my collection. So the next one, Saxon, Crusader. I do have this one on vinyl as well. This is a great album. Just old school 80s heavy metal. It starts out with there's a prelude, some sound effects and stuff like that, but the first real song, Crusader, is one of my favorite Saxon songs. It's kind of heavy. It's almost kind of epic in a way, but it's still catchy and sing-along friendly. I really like that song, but other than that, it's actually a pretty good mix of 80s metal stuff. So you have some traditional heavy metal stuff, you have some hard rock stuff, you even have some boogie rock every now and then. Nice kind of diversity, but kind of still contained within the boundaries of 80s metal at the time. I really like, of course, Crusader. Sailing to America is a nice melodic song. There's Do It All For You, a ballad. It's not bad, to be honest, but it's not my favorite song. Set Me Free is a pretty good one as well. And then you have a whole bunch of songs about rock and roll. There's a song called Bad Boys Like to Rock and Roll. Whatever, but it's a good one if you're kind of interested in checking out 80s metal and you don't know Crusader by Saxon. Check it out. Up next, Dualism by Textures. This one I struggled with. This is one I picked up I picked it up a long time ago in an electronics store called Fona. They've gone out of business. They were a chain, and their flagship store was here in Copenhagen. They had an entire section, kind of like a corner of the store dedicated to just metal, and I think they'd even hired a guy to manage that part of the store. So that's pretty cool, but they went out of business. So this one here is it's progressive metalcore, and I gotta say the first 4 tracks on here they don't do a whole lot for me. You have your typical metalcore screams, like that harsh style of vocals. You have kind of genty riffage every now and then, and there's, I think it's in the 4th track, there's a very typical metalcore breakdown. And they do the thing where, you know, you got harsh vocals and clean vocals. I don't know if it's the same guy. I really like the clean vocals though, but the harsh vocals don't do it for me. But from track 5 on, so track 5, 6, and 7, also 8 to some extent, they're actually really good, and those tracks are the reason why I haven't gotten rid of this one, because I really enjoy those. They're still metalcore tracks. Apart from one of them is like a, you know, clean singing. It's almost like a hard rock meets metalcore song, and it works very well. But those tracks are actually very good, very enjoyable. And then the last couple of tracks kind of going back into all-out metalcore territory. But hey, if you like metalcore, check this one out. It's progressive. I would say it is a bit more original than what metalcore ended up being. And the clean vocals, I think they're great. That's one of the highlights for me. But you do have lots of genty kind of riffage as well, and lots of, like I said, metalcore riffage. Which means that if you like gent and metalcore, you should check this one out. I still, like I said, I enjoy some of the tracks, but whenever I listen to this, I always start out thinking, why the hell do I still have this one? And then I'm reminded after track 4 why I still have this one. Okay, from metalcore to old school 90s death metal, Thanatos, realm of ecstasy. This is just all out 90s death metal, to the point again where, I say again because this is a point I've brought up in some previous videos, where it's kind of almost super aggressive thrash metal with kind of guttural vocals, but it's very thrashy. Here you do have lots of all-out death metal riffage, but it's from that era, I would say, where quite, you know, early old school death metal, and this is great stuff. You also have some bonus tracks on here from the pre-production demo. They're a bit more rough around the edges, but that just means that, you know, it's from 1992, so, you know, authentic stuff. This is great stuff. If you like old school death metal, check this one out. It kicks ass. And the last one is Spacehead, by Nikolaj Steen. He's the singer. I think the band is called Spacehead too, but it's normally listed as Nikolaj Steen, and then the album is called Spacehead. Nikolaj Steen is a singer and an actor too, a Danish guy. This is very, very 90s stuff, so it's kind of alternative metal, hard rock from the 90s. It sounds very grungy. You got some groove elements as well. You do have a handful of ballads, a bit too much from me, but I kind of like the heavy songs. If you're into 90s alternative rock and alternative metal, I think you will enjoy this one. It's not super original. It's very derivative of, you know, what else was around, you know, back then. But, you know, you got some cool riffs. You got some pretty heavy guitar tones, actually, on this album. Interestingly enough, one of the two kind of weak points to me, that's the vocals. They're not bad. He's a good singer, but they're not terribly original or anything. And towards the end, at least for me, whenever I listen to this, the music does kind of end up kind of in the background, right? But yeah, pretty good stuff if you like your 90s rock. So there you go. a handful of songs from the Pukebox. Pretty good stuff for the most part. Thanks for watching.